I feel paralyzed.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. I don't know if you can hear me really well, but if you can, my name is Yesenia, aka YesiMaGri, and today we're going to kick it back to possibly the best show of the freaking century, Stranger Things. If you don't know what this is exactly, this is called the Demogorgon. It is the monster that hunts the kids in Stranger Things. As you all know, I am doing a full 31 days of Halloween makeup. If you want to see how to get this look in particular, keep watching. Alright guys, so starting out with this picture, this is going to be our reference picture. We're going to use this face sculpt to then lay some clay on the eyes, the mouth, and the nose portion so that we will be able to see and breathe when we put on the prosthetic. Then we're going to add a thin layer of liquid latex just so that we have a sticky base to work off of. For the actual flaps themselves of the mouth, I used panty liners. Yes, you heard correctly, panty liners. They worked really well and they looked exactly like what I needed for the picture. All I did was cut them up so that they would fit accordingly. Then I go in with another layer of liquid latex right on top of that so that it could start kind of forming itself together and holding on stronger. After that, I then put on a layer of the dryer sheets that you guys know I love to use so much, and this kind of helped like stick them together so that afterwards I can then kind of tear them apart and open it as much as I needed it to. They worked really well and they gave a really nice texture in between. And then of course put a layer of liquid latex on top. Sorry. Then, as you guys know, you're gonna go ahead and use all-purpose flour or whatever flour you have and mix that up with some liquid latex until it becomes kind of like a putty consistency, and you're gonna use that to start shaping every single little flap. This is what started giving it much more volume. After I was done with that, I kind of went in with a spatula and just started cleaning up those in-between lines so that I would actually have room to open up the prosthetic. I also used the spatula to kind of carve in any indentations and scars that I saw in the actual reference picture itself. And then to smooth everything out, you just use liquid latex with a little bit of your finger and it really does the trick. This was pretty much the prosthetic left overnight, and the next day I just had to go in between those little flaps, open it up so that it, you know, it would look more realistic, not so much stuck together. Plus I needed to see and breathe. Going in with the Mehron 3D gelatin, I went ahead and on that bottom flap I added some drip marks which would make it look like saliva. Then using some fake nails that I had that are like those press-on nails, I just pretty much cut them up into tiny little triangle pieces and used some super glue, and this is what is gonna be the actual teeth portion of the monster itself. For the actual paint job itself, I went in with the Mehron Paradise paint palette, and I started out with these kind of mixture of light pink with a coral just to give off that kind of agitated, infectious kind of first layer. We are gonna go in with then the deeper red from the palette and just start adding that kind of more inwards, like if it's more of a bloodier layer. And you know, as you start kind of layering the different colors on top, it really starts to come together. I definitely suggest like just layering it, but not too much because you don't want it to get muddy. Then going in with this really deep purple and kind of a little bit extra water because I didn't want it to be super vibrant either. I'm just putting this kind of around so that it would have some more contrast to it. And then for the actual like underskin tone for the monster itself, this is a mixture of the light purple with the gray tone. And then I will go in with a sponge with some water in it to help dilute it so that it doesn't look so vibrant and it looks much more transparent, just like the monster itself actually looks. For some added texture, I use this kind of stippling sponge and the white color and just kind of stippled that all over everywhere pretty much. I thought it gave a really cool infectious vibe. You guys have seen me do this in my zombie tutorial as well. Also, I went ahead and got the Smashbox Halo Foundation, and I just thought that maybe he needed a little bit more of some kind of color in there, and I didn't at first like the layer of just the foundation on top of it by itself. So I went back in with that white and the same sponge like I did before, and I thought it looked a lot better, a lot more gray tone, a lot more sicker looking, and I thought it was cool. Then I just used my little splattering brush and dipped that into the gray and the black and just kind of splattered that around the whole face prosthetic just because I wanted to have a little bit added dimension. For the teeth themselves, I decided to use the MAC Acrylic Paint in white just because it would hold the color a lot better than the water activated paints, and I just pretty much colored in all those teeth and the drool itself so that you would be able to tell the difference between that and the actual face portion itself. I highly recommend to definitely do this, like paint the actual face prosthetic first, because as you'll see here, if I were to pretty much put on my face prosthetic now, it would have been really hard for me to not only do the body painting but also put on like the bald cap and everything. So now that I'm moving into the body portion, I did add a layer of liquid latex where I pretty much mapped out where the excess kind of bulging out skin was gonna be, and on top of that, I'm just putting some cotton and layering more liquid latex on top, smoothing it out with liquid latex, pretty much liquid latex and cotton, that's all it really is, and getting the shape pretty much as close to the reference picture as I wanted it to be. This is just an area that is a little bit more protruded out, and I wanted to give that effect, especially when I put the color on top of it. For these like rippled neck effect that I get, I just used like little tissue and I folded it up and put liquid latex on top, and it worked. And then for the little flaps that he has on his skin, I used remaining dryer sheets, kind of cut it in a triangle, placed it, you know, on my skin. It's really hard to explain. I just kind of, you guys kind of have to watch it. But then in between I put liquid latex and it hardened up and it was a lot better. For the body paint, it's the exact same colors that we used on the face paint itself, going in with that pink and peachy tone. I used it to kind of go around the actual like prosthetic on the skin, and then I'll go in with the red to bring in some more like bloody look to it. All I really did, like where I was placing the paint itself, was pretty much like the contouring areas of the body. There wasn't exactly like a right or wrong way. You just have to think where the light would hit, where highlights would be, and where the shadows would be. Going in with that dark purple, this helped really bring in some more contrast, and I did kind of put this onto the like little prosthetic area on my body, just because there is going to be some shadows, especially if there's like lumps and wrinkles on the skin. There's going to be some shadows in that area, so I just thought it would definitely help a lot. I added a little bit of black to more of the skin portion. This looks like a really hot mess, but I promise it comes out really, really cool once you start actually layering it with the base color that you'll see probably in the next clip. And now we're back to that purple and gray, which is, like I said, the base color. And I just started kind of placing this all over those empty spaces, because then I'll go in with a sponge and some water and blend it out to help dilute it and make it look as transparent as possible. Then going in, of course, with that white and the same sponge, this is what really started bringing it all together. I thought it was so cool, and it helped really make it look like diseased and disgusting, but in a really cool way. And you just pretty much place this all over the body. It's fine. You're gonna have to go back in for the contours again anyway. Also have to go in with the foundation itself the same way that we did before, and just stipple it all around the body as well. And then, like I said, because I didn't like the color itself of just the foundation, you're gonna see me go back in with that white again, and that's what the whole process that we just did on the face is gonna be all on the body as well. Now, this is where I start going back in with those contours again. I only use the red, the deep red and the dark purple shade to recontour everything. I didn't want to go back in with the pink because I didn't find it necessary to go in with it all over again. Plus, I didn't want it to look too muddy with so many paints already kind of placed on top of the body. So I'm just going in, lightly putting it in, and then dabbing it out with my fingers a little bit, just so that it looks a little bit more natural, not so like weird looking. And then I added some extra like indentations and scars all over the body, just so that it all went together. It didn't just seem like, oh, there's just a certain amount of color right here on my neck and that's it. Like, it helped bring it all together, honestly.
I don't wanna have to lie. I wanted this love to survive. Now when I look in your I feel paralyzed.
And now going back in with that MAC acrylic paint, I'm just pretty much going to place this on the natural highlight points, which is just to lightly kind of brush out my brush on top, and wherever it kind of stuck was where I left it, because the high points would pretty much be the ones that are bulging upward more, not so much the ones that are indented inwards, if that makes sense to you. Just really think about shadowing here and, you know, lighting purposes. And then for the scars on the body, I did the same thing where I just placed the color and then I like patted it out with my finger so that it wasn't so overbearing. For the face, I had to go in with like this circle shape and block it completely out in black, just because when I put the prosthetic on, you will definitely see the skin underneath. Like I said, I wanted to breathe, talk, and see. So you definitely have to black this out so that way nobody can, you know, see anything but a shadow. I put on my bald cap, and then for the head itself, it was a lot more easier. I just mixed that purple and gray shade, went all over that with then the white stippling shade, and then just spattered a whole bunch of gray and black pretty much all over my body and my head. And it started to really come together and look sick. Here, I'm pretty much trying on the prosthetic. You could see like I'm super happy and laughing. I'm actually talking to my mom here because it looks so cool to me. And then with some squirt blood, I just kind of dabbed it on to the areas that I felt were a little bit more bloody. And this is the completed look, you guys. I want to give a huge shout out to Max SFX. I have talked about her before. She is super sick. She did a look like this, and I will be linking it down below so you guys can check her look out, because mine was definitely really inspired by hers. So much for watching my channel. If you like what you saw today and you want to see more of it, go ahead and subscribe, leave a like and a comment down below. Also, you can follow me on these social media platforms. If you want to share my video with anybody else, I would greatly appreciate it. Bye.